Hello everyone, my name is Sniping is Fun, and I welcome you back to a quick little discussion update, my thoughts video I wanted to present to all of you here right now, and I just came off of me doing my thoughts on the Saints Row reboot just shortly a while ago, so I wanted thoughts on this too. With the difference is, this game I waited way too long and it's already out, and I haven't played it yet, so if I ever do play it, I'll give me my full thoughts later on. But the Saints Row thing isn't for like almost a year. But seriously though, and you already see the name of the video. You see my thumbnail when I do change it. Give me my thoughts on Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I think those are the names. The Gen 4 remakes that I think just recently came out on Switch. And just my overall thoughts on this before potentially going in and buying it, because as of now, I'm still not certain if I want to get these games or not, and that's not necessarily anything particularly specifically against the remakes, but I'm not the biggest fan of Sinnoh. I'm not really the biggest fan of Gen 4. But I'm going to get my thoughts right now on my thoughts of these remakes, what went into them, what they look like, the reception a lot of gamers have gave them, and my overall thoughts about that, and my overall thoughts, I guess, about Sinnoh as a whole, which is probably where I should start this video at in general. Now, the original Sinnoh games, Diamond and Pearl, came out, if I recall correctly, well, in Japan, I think it came out in late 2006, but for us in America and like over in Europe, I think it was like mid 2007. So I think it was like the summer of 2007. I played them. I had Pearl. I bought Pearl, and I did like it, but like, there's a big difference. I think it was the first time a generation in Pokemon didn't really excite me the most. I was super looking going into it, but having played it, it became probably, and this isn't anything against Sinnoh in particular or the Gen 4 games or whatever, and I never did play Platinum, and it's not even necessarily against the bulk of the Pokemon or anything, but it was the first generation that I wasn't the hugest fan of the games. When Gen 1 came out, I got that, and I easily remember, I got Gen 1, I got Pokemon Blue version for Christmas in 1997 when I was in second grade, and I massively loved that game. Gen 2, we got Silver sometime. That game came out, I think, in 2000. I would have been around 4th going into 5th grade. Massively loved it. It was a massive improvement over Kanto, over the original generation. Generation 3 would have came out around 2002. I would have been in like 7th grade at the time, and I absolutely loved that one too. That one I especially love. I love Gen 2 and Gen 3 especially because those were the two Pokemon generations, and this is going to go into when I talk about Diamond and Pearl in a minute. They were the two Pokemon generations where I played the most, like, wired gameplay, trading, actually interacting with other people. I did barely with Blue version, but it wasn't like as massively pushed as I did with like my Silver version, my Ruby version, because a few of my friends, a couple of cousins and whatnot, had these games. I could trade Pokemon and battle them and do all the sorts of things. Like even like in Gen 3 when you could do like the freaking contests or the berry mixer and stuff like that, and make caves and get all their caves in your game and everything. I think one of the major reasons because when Gen 4 came out, it was summer 2007. It was the summer of me going into 12th grade, my final year in high school. So you could probably go on, that was probably an age thing and whatnot, but that turned around because I did end up playing some of Gen 5, and I actually played a lot of Gen 6, played some of Gen 7, and played a decent chunk of Gen 8. So I did play later generations just as much, if not maybe more so, or a little bit less so, and I still enjoyed Pokemon the games. During that time, though, over the years, I noticed outside the games, though, Pokemon, and you could say an age thing, but it still is one of my favorite game franchises of all time, Nintendo or otherwise. But you could probably say it's an age thing, so maybe it was a short period in time where I fell out of the series a little bit, but got back into it. But like Pokemon as a whole, like I got out of the card game by the time Gen 2 came out because I didn't want to go and collect a whole bunch of different cards again. Most of my collection that's buried deep in my closet is Gen 1 with some Gen 2. I fell out of the TV show around the same time. I watched like everything from the Indigo League, from Kanto. I watched all the stuff from Orange Islands, but I didn't watch much of Johto. which is now I've been going back on that because I've watched all of X and Y. I've watched all of Sun and Moon. I've watched Journeys. I haven't started Master Journeys yet, but I'm trying to find a way to watch Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, like seasons, and I can't find most of that stuff anywhere because it's not on Netflix anymore or Hulu or anything. So that's a journey and a half I need to figure out. But yeah, Pokemon over the years has been fluctuating for me. And you could say it's an age thing or an interest thing and stuff like that. Like I was getting older, my interests change and whatnot, but Pokemon the game still stay with me. But and I've been freaking getting off the track here right now. But with Gen 4, while I love the games, it was the first generation where I kinda didn't play it as much, or I didn't get into it as much because there were some things in the game that were probably the reason why, but also it was the first generation where I didn't have many people to play with either, and that did impact it. My one friend was the only one that had a version of Pearl, and we traded a few times, and this was before like finishing off high school and then going off to college, and this was us separate lives. And like I did, like most of the people I knew, I didn't either have the game or whatnot. So a big interaction in terms of people to play with was a massive, just downgrade for me after playing a bunch of like the freaking Johto and Hoenn stuff and doing all this big multiplayer, multi-tap type stuff. So that was probably a downgrade too. So that's more of a personal thing. That's not necessarily anything against the game, but Gen 4. I'm not saying it sucked, and this is when I say stuff like this, I'm saying it from a personal perspective. I'm not trying to dog the generation. I don't think it's one of the worst generations, but I do think it's one of my least favorite generations, and that's not even a knock against Sinnoh. Sinnoh was actually kind of a cool region with some cool Pokemon, but like there was just elements about the game that I don't look back on fondly, or I'm not the big, like these people that are nostalgic for the generation and wanted these remakes. I really didn't care about Gen 4 remakes. I cared about getting like Heart Gold, Soul Silver. I cared about getting Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Back in the day, I liked Fire Red and Leaf Green. Those three generations, the first three ones, were the ones I was nostalgic for. I was super into wanting as, like remakes. Gen 4 was the first one I wasn't like, they're going to do it eventually, but I'm not super hyped for them or anything. And I just know, the enemy Team Plasma, or Team Galactic, wrong generation I'm talking about. Team Galactic was okay. Team Rocket's a classic, and I actually, to be fair, love Team Magma and Team Aqua. I like the dynamic of the enemy team switching depending on which version you did, who you're facing against, and who you're teaming up with. Team Galactic was probably like the first team that I was kind of mad with. I think their design was kind of stupid. Their premise was interesting, going after like the gods and like all that Arceus and everything. And I think Cyrus was actually kind of cool, but I really didn't like the enemy team and their design and stuff like that much, like the underlings and whatnot. The region was okay. The starting Pokemon, that was the first region where I only really liked one Pokemon, and that was Piplup. I forgot what the thing's called. What's Turtwig? What's the turtle called? Because it's like my least favorite grass starter. I thought it was kind of, no offense to people that don't like him, dumb. And Chimchar was the first fire starter that I didn't really like all that much, and I picked him. And I like Infernape a little bit. It's a cool starter. It's a cool fire starter, but it's like after Charmander and Cyndaquil and Torchic, it was like the first. I always pick fire starters, and it was the first fire starter I was like, with. Piplup was the first water starter I would pick over a freaking fire starter. It was the first time, and that applies to the DS generation too. So some of the stuff I'm saying right now apply to Black and White as well, sort of. Even though I like the region Unova a little bit better. And the enemy Team Plasma was leaps and bounds better than Galactic. Like that DS generation was definitely, like, in terms of my interest in the Pokemon games, like a downgrade that slightly came back with the 3DS games, even though I think the DS games were technically better games and better overall story and characters than the 3DS games. I enjoyed those a little bit more because they still had their elements of cool stories and characters and whatnot. I like the Pokemon starters and everything too. But it's just elements back then, like not playing with many other people, not really liking the starters, not being in on every single Pokemon in the region. Sinnoh was kind of the enemy team was and I played a lot of Pearl, and I still never got the National Dex because there's that one Pokemon I can never find. and I haven't played that game in years. But like I said, I did play and I loved it because I still loved Pokemon at the time. But I guess during that time span of freaking like late high school into like early college when Black and White would have came out, it was like the downturn of the franchise for me, which came back when I played X and Y and whatnot, or Y I should say specifically because that's the one I owned, and then Sun and now Sword. Um, it was the start of a downturn in the franchise for me, which has turned its way around back, at least in terms of games and anime, not so much the card game. I don't really care about getting back into the card game, nor do I remember how to play the card game, which is sad because I was in the trading card league once where I got Mew on blue and yellow. Well, or was it blue and red? I don't know, something like that. But like before I even talk about, I've been going on for about 10 minutes just talking about my history of freaking Diamond and Pearl. But yeah, like I said, it was the first generation I wasn't the biggest fan of. I still liked it. I still enjoyed my time playing it, but it was the first generation where I would say, yeah, I liked Toen more. I liked Johto more. I liked Kanto more. Those games meant more to me, probably at a younger age too and whatnot. Probably partially the reason why more people to play with and liking the Pokemon more and the regions more and the gym leaders more and the enemy teams more. And the little features, which they did pull out some of that stuff too. But like the enemy, like the bases and stuff. But like Gen 4, I remember it, and it's an enjoyable generation. It was just crazy. Like I played it so much, but it would probably be one of my least favorites. But I did like it, but like I said, the reason I'm not super interested in this remakes is because of that. So before Sinnoh fans come and want to choke me out, I'm not saying the generation sucks. I'm just saying from a personal standpoint, it was a downturn for me. Now the remakes are finally coming out of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And I've been thinking at first I'm like, nah, I don't really care. I don't really want to buy it. But then I'm starting to look at it and I'm like, do I want to try this and have a second chance at Sinnoh? Maybe it will turn my way around on Sinnoh and I'll maybe like the region and the Pokemon more than my first time around. But I think, and this is my also opinion, but other people have been saying this too, but I've been saying this numerous times since they announced the game. I think it's the first remake that it feels like Game Freak is just not trying with. They were involved with the first 3 remakes. They're getting some offshoot team to make this one now. And it's like, it doesn't have like all the bells and whistles from the current generation, which is Sword and Shield. And a lot of people were expecting maybe it would look like Sword and Shield, but they're making it like the chibi, 3DS chibi version of the DS game, which is neither here nor there, I guess. But it feels like I feel bad for people who really wanted this remake because it feels like, unlike the past 3 generations, Game Freak isn't even really trying this time. And I'm not saying that means it's going to turn out to be bad, because as far as I've been seeing, and people have been speculating and whatnot, it looks like it's just going to be a carbon copy remake with no added features. And every past remake has added a bunch of new features from that current generation. Like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire added the Mega Evolutions. This doesn't look to be adding what would essentially be a region-specific thing for Sword and Shield with the Gigantamaxing or Dynamaxing stuff, which I don't care about that so much. But it seems like elements like features and stuff like that, and the graphics and the attention, like all the past remakes look like they got massive attention to be big time games that rival the generation that frickin' came out. This doesn't look like it's trying to rival Sword and Shield. This looks like it's just trying to take the DS version and make it a little more 3D and look better, but like add no features, which that might still be the case. I haven't actually played the game yet, so anyone out there that actually played the remakes, put in the comment section, did they add anything? Are you able to do all this different gym leader post game stuff and battle Red or N or freaking like Iris or freaking Cynthia or something? Is there like a battle tower or whatever? Because it feels like it's just like a complete just copy 1-to-1 and no added features. But when every past remake, Fire Red, Leaf Green, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, all added post-game stuff, all added current game stuff that rivaled the current generation, and they all were graphically like the current generation. It feels like it's just, I feel bad for people who really wanted this remake, because it feels like this is the first remake that Game Freak isn't really trying, and they're just throwing it out there, and I feel bad for these people that want this stuff. And as I said, I'm still going to potentially try it because this is going to be my second time around. Maybe I'll enjoy the region more, but it feels like Game Freak's too busy with Legends Arceus, and they're not even caring about this, which is going to be bad when we eventually get to Black and White remakes, and they probably are going to put 1,000,001 times effort into those compared to this one. And it's still, I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game, but they could have tried. I personally think they could have tried more, and I feel bad for people who really wanted this remake, because this feels like the first remake. Like I said, that they're not really trying. And that doesn't mean it's going to be a bad game. That doesn't mean it's still going to turn out to be good. That doesn't mean it's going to be bad either. I'm just saying, we'll have to wait and see. And that's just my thoughts on this. Like, I'm interested. I'm probably going to be giving Sinnoh another shot, but like how they're making it is kind of a downturn for me a little bit. And my first time around, I wasn't the biggest fan anyways, so I might not super try it out. So I really don't know. But that's really about what this video is about. I might try it out. You might see me online. I might be able to trade Pokemon with all of you out there on this game. Maybe one day when I decide to maybe want to get it and give Gen 4 another shot. But yeah, that's my general thoughts to that. Put in the comments what you guys think. You guys, for those of you that love Generation 4 and really want a Generation 4 remix, are you happy with this game? And if not, if you are or not, just let me know. My name is Typhus Fun. Peace. Please try if you want to. Have a lovely day. See you all later. Bye.